Hi, my name is Itoria Dishe Cheeks and I teach mathematics. In the beginning of the school year, I asked students to introduce themselves to me with a letter. The letter talks about who they are, their families, hobbies, challenges, and something interesting that they have learned in previous math classes. I read each student's letter written in either Spanish or English. Then I in turn share my story with them answering the same questions. This is my most recent introduction to students. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. I was the first child to my parents and my grandparents. I've always been curious, intuitive, and witty. My Nana, that's my dad's mom, she thought that I would be a model. I became a teacher. My hobbies are walking, journaling, and making crafts. The first challenge, I must warn you, is pretty graphic. It was when I had an auto pedestrian accident. It was a near-death experience, and I share this story because sometimes students are curious enough to ask me about the scars on my face. So I'm just kind of being upfront, just in case you were wondering. Another challenge that I have overcome was being homeless. I told this story to the San Francisco Chronicle, and the interviewer sent photographers to the school when I had a badminton match. They followed me home just to journal my experience of working long hours, then leaving school to go home to a temporary living situation. 2 days later, Heather Knight from the Chronicles called with some exciting news. $44 million and the first SF teacher housing per SF's now late mayor, Ed Lee. News reporters and radio stations reached out to me to interview. I followed up with CNBC. Here's the interview.
I'm actually standing in an apartment community in Silicon Valley in which it was specifically designed for teachers. They pay below market rent. And it's an idea that came out of the fact that rising high housing costs here in Silicon Valley and in the Bay Area in general. And it's one that San Francisco wants to borrow as well. In fact, a recent Redfin study found that there are no affordable homes in San Francisco and in Silicon Valley for teachers to buy. The problem is so acute that it's prompted Mayor Ed Lee in San Francisco to commit $44 million towards the teacher housing project. We talked to one math teacher at a high school in San Francisco who says she's had such trouble finding a permanent home. She's lived in hostels and even spent a night at a homeless shelter in order to save up for a security deposit.
I just had to kind of be able to stay on the move, and I kept everything in the bag because to unpack, it didn't make sense.
She says she's finally found a rent-controlled apartment in the city she hopes will turn out to be a permanent home. And by the way, I did talk to a spokeswoman at the school district, and she tells me while the overall retention rate for teachers has remained pretty consistent over the last decade, that it's still a struggle trying to recruit new teachers. Guys, back to you.
In December of 2017, SF experienced some devastating news: the untimely transition of Mayor Ed Lee. I went to his memorial service. Here's some footage.
And maybe passing it on to the family.
There's a big significance in that clock. I've asked a Chinese person for overseas. You never give anybody a present as a clock. Only when you're gone dead. And then time stands still. Because the word clock in Chinese sounds the same as death. Yeah,
Oh.
That was really interesting. Somebody placed a clock right there.
I think I want a closer look at the clock now. And you said that's Chinese tradition?
Yeah,
Or just Asian tradition in general, or Chinese tradition particularly?
I think it's Chinese. Maybe Asian. I don't know because I'm Chinese. But that's what my friends from China told me.
Oh.
That you never present
May Mayor
anybody.
Ed Lee's legacy live on. I've always been fond of math, but it wasn't until middle school, or rather the 7th grade, that I discovered math was one of my favorite subjects. In 8th grade, I was placed in honors math. In school, my favorite math subject was algebra. In college, I found that I had a passion for statistics and probability. In graduate school, I gained a greater appreciation for geometry. Trigonometry is currently my best math subject. The measurement of triangles are interesting because I use shapes, particularly triangles, in my drawings. This summer, I took an ancestry DNA. I was surprised that I'm 85% African, 14% European, and less than 1% Asian. I use the weekends to study and to engage my hobbies. One of my favorite things to do over the weekend is go to the Grove Street Farmers Market and buy some flowers.